All right, well, the video for today is more of a maintenance type video on the Onan. And we've had the Onan, we've got videos where we did a full install because the coach didn't come with one in the first place. We've been using it for a little while now, and we got it used, so this is an original one that had come out of another coach. And since we've been using it, we've seen some oil leaking. It's not terrible. I'm not having to put a bunch of oil in to top it off all the time or anything, but it makes a mess, and I think it should be maybe an easy fix. I'm not positive that this is going to fix it, but just looking at where it's coming from, I think this will at least help with some of the leaking problems. So I'm going to replace the oil pressure sender switch and the oil filter adapter gaskets. And there are two adapter gaskets. I think one kind of behind the entire adapter and then another one kind of in the middle of the adapter or something. I read some things saying that you need two of them, so I got two. All of these things are available at Applied GMC, so that's where I got these things. And I'm doing another video about replacing the starter, and plan to do these things at different times, but thought as long as I was in there I would take a look. And what I found is a greasy, oily mess. And so as long as the starter is not there, I think this is probably a good time to go to the oil sender and oil filter adapter gaskets and make those repairs at the same time. All right, so we pointed out all the grease and oil down below. To get to that, we're going to take off this cover, and it's just a few bolts here and then it slides out. I'm also going to take off the oil filter. It's time for an oil change anyway, so I'm going to do that while I'm at it. But yeah, we'll take these things off and take a look at what we'll do behind them. Okay, we pulled the oil filter off, and it's a very nice design here with this little ramp to help the oil drip out of where the engine is. But what we're going to work on here is replacing the oil pressure sender, and then we're going to replace this gasket back here in the back. And I think you know, pretty oily here, and there's quite a bit of oil back behind. For the oil filter adapter, there's a bolt at the top and then a bolt down here at the bottom that I'll need to get out, and then that should just come out and I should be able to clean things up and put it back together. Well, I got the oil filter adapter off and had the oil pressure sender here and then two bolts holding it on. I was having a real problem getting on the bolts until I watched a couple YouTube videos and found the secret was to use a crow's foot on an extension to be able to get in there and actually loosen these up. They also need to be torqued properly as you put it back together, and so this is going to be the way to be able to get it torqued. So I got that off, just had to buy a new tool, so no problem there. I always like to buy a new tool. I got the old gasket off, and it is very brittle paper, maybe original, I don't know, could be a replacement or something. But yeah, definitely old, and also I'm pretty sure this has been leaking. The new gasket obviously looks a lot better, so I'll install that here in a second. But if we look in here where the oil adapter was, obviously it's oily because I took everything apart, but it was pretty obvious that there was quite a bit of oil running off the bottom of this and running down and kind of cleaning some of the grease and gunk off of this below hand here. So I think certainly some of this gasket was leaking. I don't know about the oil pressure sender necessarily, but I think I may as well do it while I'm in there. I'm going to do a little cleanup of this area, and we'll start putting things back together. All right, pretty much all done with the oil filter adapter. A few notes. So some of the research I did said that I needed two of the gaskets, that there was a gasket and then an adapter, another gasket, and then the overall oil filter adapter. Mine was all one piece, so there was just one gasket to the block, and so ended up with an extra gasket, but they were pretty cheap. I think they were $10 each, something like that. So I'll hang on to it in case I need it at some point. For reference, the part number on this is 0122 0771. So this was the right one for my application. I installed the oil pressure sender. That was pretty straightforward, just screwed in. I needed to use kind of a thin wall socket to get in there because it is very close to the head. But with a thin wall 3/4 inch socket, tighten that down tight and looks good. For the bolts on the oil filter adapter, I used crow's foot, and a note when you're torquing that, I think you're supposed to keep the crow's foot at like a 90-degree angle to the handle, so that your torque isn't thrown off by having it, you know, a little further out or a little further back. I don't know that it would make a huge difference because, you know, this distance is pretty small compared to the overall handle. But torque spec on the bolts, I looked at the Onan service manual and it said 18 to 23 foot-pounds. So I put them at 20 foot-pounds and clean things up a little bit. Basically, I think it's all done. I'm also doing a starter, so I've got some other things kind of torn apart, but as I put it back together, I'll put a filter on it and do an oil change and then just check it to make sure everything is good. Well, we're all done with the oil filter adapter and pressure sender, and I finished my oil change, so I've got the oil filter on. I started it up and ran it for a little while. You can see the pressure sender there, and I cleaned up the adapter a bit, and after running for a while, no leaks or anything, so I think it's working, and I'll just kind of see what that looks like over the next year or so of using the generator. But I think we'll probably see fewer leaks and drips and things underneath the generator now.